The movie opens with a tense military radio exchange as soldiers urgently report a surprise global attack by mysterious creatures.
This is Netherland, Colorado. Most of our town is destroyed, but everything above 8,000 feet is completely untouched.
3 years later, what's left of humanity has found safety high in the mountains, where the monsters can't reach past 8,000 feet elevation. In the Colorado Rockies, a small town harbors a group of survivors. Among them is a boy named Hunter, who ventures below the safe zone with binoculars to glimpse another settlement on a distant mountain. On his way back, he spots a glowing red light trailing him. A monster has caught his scent. Hunter bolts up the slope toward the clearly marked safe altitude line. Just as the creature nears, he crosses the boundary, and it halts. Back home, Hunter tells his dad. Furious, Will scolds him for risking his life and reminds him about his weak lungs that could have failed during the run.
You're on oxygen every night.
Sorry, Dad.
Later, Will goes hunting with Katie, a friend of his late wife Tara. He shares that Hunter often sneaks below the line to check on the other community. Katie understands. Hunter craves kids his age and someone to hang out with. But Will says it's more than that. That place is the last spot Hunter saw his mom. They track a deer, make the kill, and head back. On the way, they see their neighbor Nina testing homemade armor-piercing rounds on a chunk of monster hide, tough and nearly indestructible. Before everything collapsed, Nina was a brilliant scientist. Now she's determined to figure out how to kill the creatures. That night, Will hears a warning beep from Hunter's breathing machine. He quickly changes the filter so Hunter can breathe. Born premature, Hunter's lungs are underdeveloped and could give out any time. Seeing their supply of filters is dangerously low, Will decides to risk a deadly trip to the lowlands, specifically Boulder, where he hopes the hospital might still have some left. The next day, Will spends time with Hunter, teaching him to protect their potato crops from frost and how to fish properly. It's Hunter's birthday, so Will goes to the store and gets the last pack of macaroni and cheese, Hunter's favorite, for a special dinner. As they eat, Hunter complains about being isolated and asks why they don't use the radio. Will explains their power barely supports his machine, and they contact others using flags. Later, Katie drops by with some beers. They sit on the porch, reminiscing about their carefree lives before everything fell apart, while watching Nina work on her latest test. That night, Hunter has another respiratory attack, and Will has to use their last emergency syringe. With no more filters, Will heads to Nina's house in desperation.
How's the drinking?
Keeps me from killing myself. How's yours?
Keeps me from killing you.
From their talk, we learn that Nina once went to Boulder's labs for chemical supplies to build weapons against the creatures. Tara, Will's wife, died on that same trip. Will still blames Nina, but since she's the only one who ever came back alive, he begs her to come with him. Nina refuses, calling it pure suicide. The monsters would tear them apart. Will reminds her she owes him,
You owe me this much. For Tara.
pointing out she has nothing left to lose. He leaves, sure she'll come around. Haunted by flashbacks of that mission, of her friends, including Tara, being slaughtered, Nina starts building a special compass. Racked with guilt,
Nina! Why can't hold my breath any longer?
in the end, the guilt pushes her to say yes. Will asks a local woman to take care of Hunter for 5 days while he heads out to get the filters. In the morning, Will loads up on weapons at the armory for the trip. Katie finds him there and calls him out for leaving without telling anyone.
You're just gonna run off and get yourself killed without saying a word, like Tara. I'm sorry, that was uncalled for.
Yeah, it was.
It's clear she cares about him. Determined, Katie grabs a rifle and insists on coming.
Katie, what are you doing?
Going with you.
Right, Nina's going with me.
Oh, I'm definitely going now.
What's the point?
We're gonna have to fight them eventually, Will. It might as well be today.
Outside, Nina is already waiting. She warns Katie that the monsters up close are nothing like the ones seen from the mountaintop. They rip people apart, and bullets barely do anything. The only way to briefly slow them is a direct shot to the face. Before leaving, Will tells Hunter he'll be back in 5 days.
I won't be gone long.
That's what Mom said.
I'm coming back.
The group departs following a planned path to minimize time spent below the safe zone. They plan to use a ski lift to quickly cross the lowlands. Along the way, tension rises between Nina and Katie, who clearly don't like each other. When Nina pulls out a flask, Will angrily knocks it from her hand. Spotting a wrecked military convoy below, destroyed by monsters, they descend to scavenge the Ford F-Series and soldiers' remains for supplies. As they hike, Nina explains that her compass can detect monsters within half a mile, their magnetic field stronger than any life form on Earth. She gives the compass to Katie, assigning her lookout duty, while Will grabs gear and Nina retrieves a piece of armored monster scale for her research. While scavenging, Will finds a grenade launcher but admits he doesn't know how to use it. Katie attaches it to her rifle.
I'm from Texas, Will.
I'm from Louisiana. It doesn't mean my dad taught me how to use a grenade launcher.
Before moving on, things heat up. Nina accuses Katie of flirting with her dead friend's husband, and Katie fires back that Tara's death was Nina's fault. The fight gets physical before they reluctantly continue.
I don't like you, Nina. I never have.
I don't blame you, Katie.
They come across a herd of wild horses, a sign nature's rebounding in the lowlands. Eventually, they reach an old ski resort with a lift to the next peak. Nina spots a monster on the compass. Close. The warning light flashes deep in the woods. Katie wants to run uphill, but Nina says there's no time. Will agrees with Nina and races to power up the lift. As the monster nears, Katie fires the grenade launcher. It stuns the creature, but doesn't stop it. While Katie and Nina provide cover, Will restores power and hops onto a chair with Nina. Katie scrambles up a support pole and leaps for the moving lift. She barely catches the edge, and Will grabs her arms to pull her in. Suddenly, the monster's tentacle strikes the cable, jolting the lift violently and throwing all three to the ground. Luckily, the fall isn't too bad. They rush toward the altitude boundary and make it just in time. The monster stops, unable to cross. That night, they take shelter in a resort cabin and share a bottle of whiskey. Nina recounts how fast the creature struck, too fast for humanity to find any weak spots.
It is different seeing them up close.
Society fell in daze. She reveals the monsters only go after humans, ignoring animals altogether. They're not hunting us for food. They don't eat. They just kill. And no one's ever seen them sleep. What disturbs her most is how the monsters are bound by elevation. They can't go higher than a certain point. Before bed, Will thinks back to a talk he had with Tara before her deadly trip to Boulder with Nina. He'd tried to stop her, accusing Nina of being selfish, only wanting to make a name for herself by becoming the first to kill a monster. He said that because Nina had no family, she didn't understand what life was really worth and would lead anyone to their death just to prove something. Tara didn't listen.
She doesn't have a family. She's never had a family.
It's just a matter of time before he runs out of filters.
That's a year from now, at least.
And the Reapers will still be down there.
The next day, the trio arrives at the entrance of a mine that cuts through the mountain and comes out the other side. Nina is stunned and furious that Will didn't give them a heads up about this path. She reminds him that even though the entrance and exit are above the safe line, the tunnel dips below it in the middle and has side paths that go even deeper.
How do you know these tunnels are perfectly straight? That they don't bow somewhere in the middle? That would take us below the line, or did you not think about that? We're going below the line, aren't we?
Since the monsters come from underground and move through it easily, this route puts them at a huge disadvantage. To make things worse, her compass won't function right inside the mountain. Even with the danger, they strap on helmets with flashlights and head into the mine. When they get to the far side, they find the exit locked. With no other choice, they climb down a ladder into a lower tunnel to find a different way out.
So what do we do when we get to the bottom? We just start sprinting?
Well, we can't sprint across. We'll just exhaust ourselves and make too much noise.
Worse than that, we'll quadruple our CO2 output, which they can track from a mile away. That's what that light is at the end of the tentacles.
So slow and steady. Are we ready?
No, just need a minute to ponder my own death.
You're funnier than I realized.
Thanks. You're smarter than I realized.
In one of the tunnels, they dim their flashlights with their hands and spot a soft red glow. They bolt. Katie fires a grenade at the tunnel mouth to try to block it with rubble, but the explosion barely slows the creature. They crawl into a tight passage, turn off their flashlights, and hold their breath to avoid releasing carbon dioxide. The monster searches, its tentacles sensing the air. As it gets closer, Will lights a flare, buying them a few seconds to crawl deeper down the passage. Katie leads, but suddenly comes face to face with another monster hiding in the dark. The creature stabs her with a tentacle and yanks her into the shadows. Will and Nina are heartbroken but powerless. They find another ladder and climb out of the mine. They pause to grieve Katie, then move forward toward a ranger station where they plan to spend the night. At the station, Will finds a box of mac and cheese, Hunter's favorite. He thinks about how often he's cooked it for his son, who always asks for it.
It's the casein, the milk protein in cheese. It's like an opioid, as addictive as morphine.
As they sit by the fire, Nina shares her theory. The monster's scales give off an electromagnetic field. If she can build a bullet that disrupts that field, it might cause them to explode.
A projectile, a bullet, bonded with Pericles. It hits them. Theoretically, it creates a momentary million-volt differential, and boom, uncontrollable internal combustion.
But to test it, she needs materials from a lab. Will brushes it off as nonsense and says he regrets his wife dying trying to help Nina with her crazy theory.
That's what you've been working on all this time? Literally a magic bullet.
It's not magic, it's science.
It's a guess.
It's a hypothesis.
The next morning, Will and Nina take the Ranger's truck and drive toward the safe line, where the city and hospital they need are located. Fast. Down the road, they race toward the hospital. Once there, they move in carefully, quietly making their way inside as they search for the medical supply room. Climbing to the upper floors, they find the storage, but the shelves are empty. Hearing something suspicious from below, they press on. Eventually, Will finds another supply room, fully stocked with the filters he needs. He stuffs his backpack as Nina nervously watches her compass, which shows a nearby monster closing in. As they head for the exit, the creature crashes through the walls trying to reach them. They rush to the next floor, but a tentacle smashes through and grabs Will. Nina swings a fire axe at it, cutting him free. Will hits the fire suppression system to create cover, and they bolt down the hall. Spotting a room stocked with oxygen tanks, Will quickly hatches a plan. He tells Nina to run while he sets a trap. As the creature charges, he fires at a tank. Boom! The blast hurls the monster out of the building, leaving it still. Nina, who never actually left,
I thought I told you to run.
And I didn't listen.
she insists they detour to a nearby lab instead of heading straight back.
How much time did you just buy yourself? 6 months, a year? Then you're right back here again. We can't live like this forever. Sooner or later, we have to fight them. We can prove that they can be killed. Everyone else stuck on those mountaintops will know it. The whole world will come and fight with us.
Will hesitates, then agrees. They drive off, not noticing the monster slowly reanimating behind them. At the lab where Nina used to work, she seems more in control as she mixes chemicals, testing them on monster armor with different coatings. Will explores the place and finds her old office. He's shocked to see a photo of her family. Confronting her, he says he didn't know she had kids. Nina confesses she lost them during the attack. She'd gone in to work on her day off. She's been haunted ever since.
I never should have encouraged her to come with me. I was overconfident. I thought I'd figured out a way to hold them off, and I was wrong.
I only blame you because it's easier than blaming myself. I knew she was gonna go.
You can't blame yourself.
Neither of us can.
Their early experiments fail. Will wants to leave, but Nina insists he go on without her. She'll keep working, and if she figures it out, she'll catch up using her car, untouched for 3 years. Will wants to help, but she tells him not to risk it. Hunter needs those filters. Without them, he won't make it. Nina refines her method, using a blowtorch to dry the bullet coating faster. When her compass stalls, a monster is near. She finds some rechargeable batteries and decides to add cobalt, known for its heat resistance and magnetic power. She successfully crafts her first cobalt-coated round, just as a monster smashes through the wall. She takes aim and fires. Meanwhile, Will speeds through the mountain roads in the Ranger truck. A tire blows. The truck skids, crashes into a boulder, and flips. Will blacks out. He wakes up at dusk to monster growls nearby. Grabbing his gear, he runs on foot toward higher ground. The monster is right behind him, hunting across the rugged terrain. Just as he nears the safe zone, another beast blocks him, then a third. Surrounded, Will opens fire, knowing it's hopeless. Suddenly, one of the creatures explodes into blazing shards. Nina stands on a hilltop, rifle in hand, loaded with cobalt rounds. Her bullets short-circuit the creature's electromagnetic fields, blowing them apart. She kills the remaining ones, revealing their robotic insides.
They're machines.
Programmed to hunt humans, but never go above 8,000 feet.
It's not a living creature. That's programming.
Advanced high-tech design? Or maybe Chinese? It was a joke. Sorry. Back at the village, Hunter runs to Will and hugs him tight. Nina raises a Jolly Roger on the flagpole, a sign to nearby survivors that she has discovered a way to fight the creatures. News spreads over radio. Villagers begin crafting makeshift cobalt-coated bullets. At the river memorial, Nina and Will place a bullet etched with Katie's name, honoring her sacrifice. Together, they commit to her mission, to fight back. Armed with new weapons, a volunteer squad descends from the mountains. Aerial shots show the land below. Explosions lighting up the distance as alien machines fall. Humanity is finally pushing back. And yes, we know they weren't Ford F-Series, just wanted to see who'd call it out in the comments. Subscribe for more videos like this, turn on notifications, and leave a like to support the channel. Thank you for watching.